when I'm in there with Shakur, you know, it's a chess match, you know, because Shakur is a thinking man as well. So it's definitely a chess match, and that's something that, you know, I love, he loves, because now we gotta be creative. You gotta go in that bag and be like, I can't do this with him because it's not gonna work. Now I gotta get more creative to get a little advantage over him, because we both competitive. Neither one of us wanna let the other one get anything off.
What's up, Jen? You wanna sign a contract to fight my little brother?
The moment was impossible to miss. Terence Crawford stormed into the press event, took control of the microphone, and bluntly warned Teofimo Lopez that Shakur Stevenson was going to break him down piece by piece. To anyone watching casually, it came off as pure swagger. The sport's top pound-for-pound fighter stepping up to back someone he considers family. But behind closed doors, people close to the situation say that interpretation is way off. According to those insiders, there's a very different explanation circulating, and it has reportedly rattled Shakur Stevenson's camp far more than the public realizes.
At first glance, for me, it seemed like this was not going to be a very good fight, that it was a fight that had a real chance to be a snoozer because of the way both of these guys fight. But during my live stream, I got some information. I won't say information inside because it was on a live stream about Teofimo Lopez that I found very interesting and may make the fight a lot more exciting, because there's two things about Teofimo Lopez that Shakur Stevenson really has to worry about.
From the outside, fans still see a calm, confident veteran playing the role of mentor. Behind the scenes, the concern may be very real. The belief circulating privately is that Crawford fears Shakur Stevenson could be heading straight into a bad situation, facing a version of Teofimo Lopez that no one anticipated, including the betting markets. And that realization didn't come from a public moment or online talk. It came quietly, inside a gym, far from any spotlight. According to sources, Crawford expected the footage to show the same inconsistent Lopez who struggled in recent fights. Instead, what appeared on screen forced him to replay the clips repeatedly, studying every movement without saying a word.
Tim Bradley said that he feels like Shakur Stevenson can hurt you. Not necessarily with power, but by frustrating you, controlling the distance, nullifying your offense, just making you look bad. He said that he feels like Shakur has superior boxing IQ compared to you.
That's cool. That's his opinion. That's cool. Everybody has an opinion like an asshole. You know? So,
I swear I wish I could be like you. I swear I wish I could be like you too.
What's that?
Be like, they say whatever, it's fine. I'd be like, say what?
He also said don't run from Shakur.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I put on boxing shoes, not track shoes. So yeah, just I'm.
Someone close to the situation claims Crawford couldn't stop shaking his head, quietly remarking that Teofimo's hand speed was on another level. And it wasn't just about being fast. Crawford reportedly noticed that Lopez was moving with the quickness you'd expect from a lightweight, while still delivering the kind of force usually seen at welterweight. What raised alarms wasn't limited to physical traits. The bigger issue was the mindset. The impression forming behind the scenes is that Teofimo isn't training for a routine fight. He's preparing to dismantle someone. After watching the footage, Crawford allegedly pulled Shakur aside and spoke to him bluntly, warning that Lopez looks like a monster right now, and that failing to meet that intensity could turn the night into a disaster in a hurry. That context changes how the now viral press conference moment is being viewed. When Lopez showed up and things escalated, he moved directly into Shakur's space, clearly trying to provoke an emotional response. Crawford intervened, telling Lopez that psychological tactics weren't going to work. But in hindsight, analysts believe that wasn't simple trash talk. Crawford was stepping in to shield Shakur, not hype himself.
Teofimo Lopez is a bit of an enigma when you see him in a boxing ring. He is somebody that is very, very athletic, somebody that is very, very highly skilled, but his mindset is not always as consistent as you would want it to be. And his performances are not as consistent as you would want them to be. When he fought against Vasily Lomachenko, he looked like a very tremendous fighter against Vasily Lomachenko. I think he won that fight, looked very good, all of the above. But then you see him come back against George Kambosos, and it's like a totally different fighter. He winds up getting beat by George Kambosos, goes up to 140 pounds. Then he gets a shot with Josh Taylor, who was a former undisputed champion, but really still considered the man at that division. And then he goes about completely dominating and outclassing Josh Taylor, who many people believe was a pound for pound top fighter. But then he comes back and he fights guys like Jermaine Ortiz, and he fights guys like Sandor Martin, and they just look like fights that he underwhelmed, and he fought to the level of his competition. So with Teofimo Lopez, that's what I always worry about. And don't worry about his talent or his skill or his ability. I always wonder whether or not what level he's going to fight at, and whether it's just going to be right about the level of the guy he's fighting. And as a result,
Crawford understands this better than anyone. Once Shakur lets emotion take over, he becomes far easier to exploit. By stepping in, Crawford wasn't just playing the role of loyal friend, he was trying to keep Shakur locked in mentally. He knows that if Teofimo succeeds in pulling Shakur into a firefight, the lightning-fast power Crawford saw on that footage could shut everything down quickly. That's why Crawford's involvement had nothing to do with disrespect toward Lopez. The goal was damage control. He was trying to stop Shakur from walking straight into the mental setup Teofimo has been laying out from the start.
I was told about the advantages that Teofimo Lopez has in this particular fight is that Teofimo Lopez, really is somebody that is unique in the fact that he likes to fight southpaws, likes to fight guys that have an opposite angle of what you usually get. And look back to the fight that he had with one of the best fight that he had in his career was with a southpaw in Vasily Lomachenko. And so you have to know that he can fight at the level of Vasily Lomachenko at the southpaw, in the southpaw stance. You have to say, okay, well, man, what is that going to mean for the Shakur Stevenson fight? Not that Shakur Stevenson and Vasily Lomachenko fight a lot at all, alike at all. They do not fight alike at all, but still the angles and the common problems that are caused by southpaws exist when you fight Vasily Lomachenko and Shakur Stevenson. Also, Teofimo Lopez showed that on his big fight night that he was able to show up on his big fight night, right? So you look at the difference between the Teofimo Lopez fight with George Kambosos. He might have felt like, hey, this is a walk in the park. His ego is flying and his mind isn't really there, really not prepared for the fight, right? And same thing with the other guys that I mentioned, like Jermaine Ortiz and Sandor Martin. But when he got his opportunities, in the big opportunities, he buckled down and he focused against Josh Taylor, who, by the way, also fights out of the southpaw stance, and Vasily Lomachenko. So we'll see whether or not he's able to do that again with Shakur. The problem that Shakur has had some big fights when he always showed up in his fights, man. Always showed up in his fights. I think Shakur is somebody that really does react in large parts to what other fighters are doing, but still he's somebody that will absolutely stay in front of you and take.
What Crawford reportedly witnessed on that footage is nightmare fuel for anyone expecting a slow, tactical points fight. The issue wasn't raw quickness alone. According to those accounts, Crawford privately likened Teofimo's current version to a young Roy Jones Jr., which in boxing terms is an extreme comparison. That kind of reference suggests rare athletic gifts, instant reactions, and unpredictable bursts that can't be drilled into a fighter. The clips allegedly show Lopez gliding side to side with a smoothness not seen since his bout with Lomachenko, except now he's carrying noticeably more strength. He's evading punches by the thinnest margins and firing back with rapid 3-shot sequences before his sparring partners even regain their stance. Crawford, known for his sharp read on fighters, reportedly recognized the threat right away. This version of Teofimo isn't hunting for a single highlight reel shot. He's built himself to sustain non-stop offense across all 12 rounds. The expectation is relentless forward movement, applying pressure for the full 36 minutes without fading. And that kind of pace is something Shakur Stevenson, by most accounts, has never truly had to deal with at the professional level.
It would come January 31st.
So without giving up too much, when you look at him as a professional and you see what he's done, the fights he's fought, his style, what is it about him that you are going to exploit?
I think he the truth. He do a lot of things well. I think he flashy. I think it's just some basic stuff. Where I feel like he make mistakes. And I think I'm gonna capitalize off those mistakes.
What is it about you that has you, looking at a fighter that you know is the truth and then saying, I want to fight him? It seems like it should be normal if you're a fighter, right? But that stuff is dying off in the game right now. And I feel like you one of the last of the dying breed that actually want real challenges.
Yeah, I'm competitive, bro. So it's like, I want to be the best. So when I see certain guys out there, and I seen Teo his last fight, I was there front row, and I'm like, damn, this dude is like, he like a baby Roy. Like, he like doing things with his hands down, flashy. So I thought it was cool. So it kind of made me want to get in a ring with him and see if he could do them things against my style.
As a result, insiders say the vibe inside Shakur's camp has gone from self-assured to something resembling a full-scale boot camp. Crawford isn't just there to cheer him on, he's effectively running the show. According to sources, he's been selecting sparring partners who replicate Teofimo's unpredictable, high-octane style. These fighters hit hard, ignore Shakur's own punching power, and push him to defend while constantly under intense pressure, simulating exactly the kind of stress he'll face in the real fight.
So depending on how Shakur walks around, what he does on his regular basis as far as conditioning, weightlifting, what he does dieting-wise, it all can play a factor. So for me, because of how he is and who he's surrounded by, I'm going to say that I feel as though Shakur is actually going to be a lot stronger than what he was in other weight classes.
Do you think that will be able to translate into stronger punches? Because I know people always criticize.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Shakur can punch. I just think that he's not really much of a combination type of guy. One punch, 2 punch combination, 3 punch combination, get out of there. Where Teo's gonna do he can punch from weird angles. Teo can punch from like very, very strange angles, and he also too has the IQ, but it's like he's more of an explosive side. So that's what I'm saying. It can hurt Shakur being the 5 pounds heavier, but it can also benefit him very, very well as well.
It's not just physical conditioning on the agenda. Word is that Crawford and Shakur have gone through the Teofimo versus Lomachenko fight more than 50 times, breaking down every subtle movement, feint, and habit. Crawford is fixated on spotting any weakness because he understands that the version of Lopez stepping into the ring is a completely different threat. At this point, their work together has shifted from mentorship to what amounts to a strategic survival plan, designed to make sure Shakur can weather the onslaught set to hit on January 31st.
I think Teo is offensively explosive, and he definitely has the athleticism edge over Shakur. Now, I think Shakur's defense is high caliber, and his IQ is also high caliber. So it's a really good matchup because it's kind of like Teo brings, he can either, depending how he fights Shakur, he can either make it a tough night or he can make it an easy night for Shakur.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing goes for Shakur. Shakur can try to stay on the ropes the whole time, or he can utilize his legs and box circles around Teo. We don't know. But definitely with the athleticism edge, I'm going to give it slightly over to Teo. But, you know, not saying that Teo doesn't have a good IQ. I just think Shakur's IQ is very, like, I know people know that he's a smart fighter, right? But I think that when we talk about fighters throughout these eras, he's not really mentioned in these things because of the opposition who he has faced. But he does have some great IQ, and from a coach's standpoint, I get to see how he does certain things, why he does certain things. And I'm like, that's smart, you know, and he capitalizes. He got good range control. So it's going to be interesting.
The key unknown factor is Teofimo's mindset. Everyone knows he's had bouts of inconsistency, times when he appeared unfocused or overly confident. But according to sources, Crawford warned Shakur's camp that those lapses are over. The Teofimo on those tapes is fully locked in. This is the same disciplined, explosive fighter who stunned the world against Lomachenko, not the one who had trouble with Sandor Martin. Sources claim Crawford cautioned the team that Teofimo is preparing with the intensity of someone fighting for everything. There's a visible drive in his demeanor, fueled by the perception that odds makers and critics have doubted him. When a talent like Teofimo carries that kind of chip on his shoulder, he becomes exceptionally dangerous. Crawford reportedly emphasized that this version of Lopez isn't just aiming for victory, he wants to make a statement, which makes him both unpredictable and extremely lethal in the ring.
Bud a lot because I grew in the ring with Bud over the years. I remember my first time sparring him, he played with me. That was my first time being in the ring with somebody, and they had their way with me, and they did whatever they want. And then over the years, I just kept coming back. And every time I see him, like, yo, we sparring, like every time. That's why you'll see so many pictures and videos of me and Bud in the ring, because it's like, I just wanted to keep pushing myself with a guy that I know is the truth. And as we got older, my level has gotten a lot better from being in the ring with.
There's also a more shadowy theory making the rounds in boxing circles. Some are wondering if Crawford's deep involvement isn't just about protecting Shakur, but also about studying Teofimo for a future showdown. Lopez has openly hinted at his roadmap: defeat Shakur, then climb the ranks to face Crawford. He's even framed it using Crawford's own reasoning, pointing out that if Bud could move up multiple weight classes to fight Canelo, then Lopez should be able to step up and take him on.
Terence Crawford's crazy in a really good way and very honest. And I think I'm going to say a prayer sometime today that Terence Crawford gets a fight with Teofimo Lopez, because I would pay $200, at least $200 for a pay-per-view between the two of them, to see Terence Crawford whoop the tar out of him. Because, man, what Terence Crawford told Teofimo Lopez about, man, you don't know, because you're a boxer, like, that some people don't really want to play, and you out here being playful, and I'm not a playful person. Man, that is so true. That is so real.
By guiding Shakur in training, Terence Crawford gains a front-row view of how Teofimo reacts to speed, pressure, and technical setups, all without stepping into the ring himself. It's a clever strategy. He's essentially using Shakur as a live experiment to gauge whether Lopez has genuinely reached his level. If Shakur struggles or gets overwhelmed, Crawford knows what pitfalls to steer clear of. If Shakur handles him, then Crawford can judge Lopez as less of a threat. It's a high-level, strategic approach, and by all accounts, Crawford is orchestrating it flawlessly.
This story, I said it before, but I'm going to say it again. I was in the gym. I want to say I was getting ready for Chris Diaz or something, and he was sparring like a heavyweight fighter. I'm looking, I'm type nervous for him. I'm like, why is he in the ring with this big old dude? And man, I swear he done caught this dude on the shin. Boom! Dude wobbling all around the ring. I'm like, what the f***? how is this dude this strong? But it's like, honestly, Bud is very strong. A lot of people don't realize how strong he is as a fighter, and his punching power could carry through the way.
So, is Terence Crawford actually worried? Everything points to a yes. Outwardly, he's backing Shakur, but his behind-the-scenes actions tell a different story. He's studied the footage, seen the lightning speed, and understands that Teofimo Lopez has evolved into a completely different threat for this fight. When January 31st arrives, we'll see whether Crawford's caution was a real sign of fear or just meticulous preparation. One thing is clear. The version of Lopez stepping into Madison Square Garden isn't the fighter Shakur expected. This matchup has escalated beyond a standard boxing contest. It's a full-on collision course, and Crawford is doing everything possible to prevent disaster. The big question remains, will it be enough? What's your take on Teofimo's training and approach for the biggest fight of his career? Do you think he can break through Shakur's defense when the bell rings? Share your thoughts in the comments. That wraps up today's breakdown. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss our future uploads. And make sure to leave your opinions down below. We want to hear what you think.